We are slowly starting to see the effects of the coronavirus and how the economic recovery of red states compares to blue states. California, in particular, was one of the first states to implement stay-at-home orders and is now one of the last to be easing those restrictions to reopen. Data gathered by tech company Zenreach shows from May to June, retail traffic across the nation increased 6%. In California, though, it decreased 8% during that same time period. I want to bring in Zenreach CEO John Kelly to help break this all down. Hi, John. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
What does Zenreach's data suggest about the impact of California Governor Gavin Newsom's handling of the coronavirus in his state?
The data suggests that any state that has had prolonged periods of lockdown have been dramatically affected. The retail traffic to the retail sector has dropped tremendously. It went from, we were up 8% year over year to a low point in April of about 25% of historical averages. That has come back a little bit as a nation. As a nation, we're about 50% of our historical average as of yesterday, but California is still below that. California is at about 47%, for example. Some states that opened earlier are seeing traffic increases much more dramatic. I think Georgia's at like 67% of its historical average right now, even though it also bottomed out near 25%.
Your company, Zenreach, is expecting retail traffic to return to pretty much normal in September across the country. What's the prediction, though, for California and other blue states that are keeping stricter limits in place?
Yeah, it'll take longer. We've seen any state, California in particular, that's had a longer stay-at-home order in effect is having a more dramatic effect on the retail traffic, as you might imagine. So right now, the nation, as we predict, will probably get back to 100% traffic, assuming nothing else happens between now and then at the beginning of September. September 2nd is when we think that will happen. California, on the other hand, probably not until the end of September. And New York, which is another state that's also been affected, might not get back to 100% until late October.
As business owners are anxiously awaiting consumer activity to get back to normal, what does your data tell them? And could we soon be seeing many businesses leaving states like California?
Our data doesn't show any indication of businesses moving from one to another. What it does show is that the effects of stay-at-home orders, and as well as the effects of the long-term stay-at-home orders, have really dampened the ability for consumers to go into stores and to participate in the normal commerce that they're used to. There's also, I think, a sense of consumer trepidation associated with shopping nowadays in this environment. One of the interesting pieces of data we saw was that consumer traffic dropped pretty dramatically before the stay-at-home orders were issued across every state. There was a lot of concern about consumers. And the other interesting fact is, even though the traffic is coming up, it's not coming up at the same rate of increase, because there's a lot of, Georgia's been open for almost 2 months and they're at 67%. They're not near 100%. So consumer confidence and concern is really playing into this.
And how can business owners use the data collected by Zenreach to help them adapt their businesses to the new environment that we're in for consumers and businesses?
Yeah, one of the great things is, if you have consumers who are concerned and you want to make sure that they know the precautions that you're taking, is to make sure that you get that message out to the consumer base. Another piece of data that we've published is the safest times to go shopping. A lot of people who are at risk still need to go grocery shopping. They still need to go to certain places. And when is the safest time to do it? It's usually when there's the least amount of traffic. And one of the things we found is that Sunday mornings before 11 a.m. is when the low point for retail traffic across the board.
All right, Zenreach CEO John Kelly joining us to discuss California's slower return to normalcy and the impact on consumer activity in the state. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.